Tony Ferguson takes on Charles do Bronx Oliveira in the co-main event of UFC 256. This is a very interesting fight. It's a 3-round fight, making it even more interesting. Because in a 3-round fight, Charles do Bronx Oliveira has a very good chance of beating Tony Ferguson. I don't see him stopping Tony. If anyone is to win by stoppage, I'm gonna predict that will be Tony Ferguson, either by TKO later on in the fight or even early on. And even if it's a submission, I believe it'll be Tony Ferguson. Charles Oliveira has been submitted in the past. He got submitted via knee bar by who was it? Jim Miller in the first round, and that was Jim Miller who in his last fight got submitted by someone. I don't even remember who it was. But yeah, if Jim Miller can do it, so can Tony Ferguson. But in this fight, it's going to be very interesting for a few reasons. A 3-rounder fight, in my opinion, favors Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Tony Ferguson is a slow starter. He isn't like, a fast starter. If you look at his previous fights, the first round against Justin Gaethje, competitive close first round, I gave it to him, but the judges and a lot of people watching it gave it to Justin Gaethje. I completely see that for Justin Gaethje. His fight against Anthony Pettis, he got rocked and dropped in the first round. He came back stronger towards the end of the round, but he lost that first round. Cowboy Cerrone, competitive first round. He didn't do that well in it, and everyone thought that Cerrone won the first round. Not everyone, but a lot of people thought he won the first round. Similar to Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee won the first round. He took down Tony Ferguson. He controlled Tony Ferguson on the ground and won that first round. I struck him as well. So, as you can see, Tony Ferguson doesn't have a good first round ever. Even against Lando Venata, he got dropped a couple of times. Rafael dos Anjos was a competitive first round. But how will his first round be against Charles do Bronx Oliveira? I believe Oliveira is hitting his peak, his athletic peak. He's in his prime right now. He had a great fight against Kevin Lee, and I think he's gonna win the first round against Tony Ferguson. And a 3-rounder favors him because he doesn't have the best gas tank. He's a fast starter. He gasses out towards the end of a fight. He didn't show it in the Kevin Lee fight because it was a 5-rounder. He looked pretty composed in that fight, so maybe he's solved his gas tank issue. He may have a great gas tank now. Who knows? He may be able to go 5 hard rounds. But this is a 3-round, and a 3-round is completely favoring Charles Oliveira, in my opinion. So I believe Oliveira will win the first round. It'll be close, it'll be competitive, but I believe he'll outstrike Tony Ferguson early on. He'll get in close, maybe even shoot for a takedown himself. He doesn't shoot for a takedown, neither does Tony Ferguson. But in previous interviews, Tony Ferguson has said that he will be, going back to his old roots. And if you've watched Tony Ferguson from back the tough days, in his previous early fights, back at welter against Ramsey Nijem and them lot, he used to shoot for a lot of takedowns and get them as well. So I believe if he does do that, the chance of him winning increases a lot more because Charles Oliveira doesn't fight that well against pressure. Even against Kevin Lee, when Kevin Lee came forward, Charles Oliveira was struggling to find the range. He was struggling to find the distance. He was getting hit a lot, clean as well. Kevin Lee outstruck him a lot. So yeah, I believe Charles Oliveira will win the first round. Moving on into the second round, how do I think Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira will do there? I believe Tony Ferguson will pick it up towards the later half of it. Because people have to remember, Tony Ferguson fights very well when there's a crowd. When there's no crowd, he doesn't seem to fight that well. And a lot of fighters are struggling with that. I saw Paulo Costa against Israel Adesanya. He seemed off, but maybe Izzy was just too good. Like you have some sort of fighters, like if you look in boxing, Tyson Fury, he's a buzz fighter. He fights off the crowd's energy. He feeds off it. And I think Tony Ferguson is similar to that. He likes to create entertaining fights. He likes to put on a show for the fans. And he likes to get performance of the night bonuses. When have you seen Tony Ferguson in a boring fight? Never. Even in the fight against Justin Gaethje, sure, he was getting beat up pretty badly towards the end of it, but the first 2 rounds were competitive. He did decent, and that was a much more patient Tony and a much more patient Justin Gaethje as well. They both didn't fight the way they normally would. So you have to take into consideration how much of that is affected with there being no crowd. I think there's a lot. I think Tony Ferguson is a buzz fighter like Tyson Fury. They like to feed off the crowd's energy, so it will affect him in this fight as well. Another thing you have to take into consideration, Charles do Bronx Oliveira's injury. He was scheduled to fight Beneil Dariush, yet he pulled out of the fight and he said he won't be fit until 2021. But he's making an early comeback at the end of December, and he may have a quick recovery, or he may just be looking for this opportunity because Chandler didn't take the fight, and he's like, an opportunity has popped, let me take it. If I win this, I'm right for a title shot. I'm right there. So that might be his mindset going into it. But I'm gonna assume it's a fit Charles Oliveira and one that's been preparing and ready to face Tony Ferguson. So second round, I think Charles Oliveira, towards the first 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, he'll be winning the round. Tony Ferguson later on, he'll be like getting his head into the game, like I need to turn the pressure on Charles Oliveira. He'll be pressuring Oliveira, looking to get him down, even maybe looking to pour on his elbows, just throw some heat towards Oliveira to stop the momentum of him. I think he'll back Oliveira towards the cage, throw some bombs, land with power, even, because he has power. Tony Ferguson dropped Justin Gaethje. He's got enough power to stop him. And I think he's going to pour it on towards the end of the round. Maybe enough to win, but I don't think it will be. I think Charles Oliveira is going to win the second round as well. So going to the third round, I'm predicting Charles Oliveira is going to be 2 rounds to none against Tony Ferguson. Third round comes up. I think Charles Oliveira is going to feel the pressure and he's going to be gassed out. Second round is normally Charles Oliveira's best round in all of his fights. And I think that's where he uses all of his energy up. Because if you saw the Kevin Lee fight, that was his best round. He outstruck Kevin Lee, outscrambled Kevin Lee on the ground. He took Kevin Lee's back at one point, almost sunk in a rear naked choke. And then he got reversed by Kevin Lee. But yeah, that's what it is. So, third round, how will that affect him? A lot. I think he's going to slow down heavily in this third round. Tony Ferguson is going to pour on the pressure. I think Tony Ferguson might even drop him. He's going to drop to Charles Oliveira, get full mount like Paul Felder did. When Paul Felder had full mount on Charles Oliveira, Oliveira was completely, confused of what to do. He had no idea of how to get out, and he tapped his strikes eventually. Tony Ferguson is going to go with that same mentality, ferociousness. He's got a great BJJ game. He's got a better BJJ ground game than Paul Felder does. He's going to pour the pressure on, even look for a submission. Jim Miller submitted Charles Oliveira, so can Tony Ferguson. And look at Jim Miller's last fight, he got submitted. So if Jim Miller can submit Charles Oliveira, so can Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is going to look for the finish in this third round. I don't think he'll get it. I think he's going to get a 10-8 third round. Meaning what? Meaning it's going to be a majority draw. That is my prediction for this fight. I'm pretty sure no one's going to agree with me. I think a lot of people have Tony Ferguson winning by TKO in the third round or decision. Some people have Charles Oliveira by submission. I don't see it. I don't see Charles Oliveira stopping Tony Ferguson at all. I think if anyone gets a stoppage, it will be Tony Ferguson by KO or submission. So eventually my prediction for this fight is a majority draw, 28-28. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm pretty sure nearly every one of you is going to disagree with me. But the way these two fights, I really think it's going to be a draw. And if you're a betting man, it's going to have some good odds. It's normally like plus 5,000 or something for a bet. And since it's these two, it might even be higher. So yeah, take them odds, 50-1. That's very good odds in my opinion. And there's always just chance of that happening with these two. Especially in Tony Ferguson fight, you can never count him out in the later rounds. And in the earlier rounds, you know he's not going to win the first round. Unless he starts fast, which I don't see happening. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. MMA Wizard here, and I'm out.